So for your warm-up today, we're going to be going over something called direct variation. And I know that's probably not going to make a lot of sense, but what it really is proportions. And I know y'all did a lot of proportions last year, but you may not have done them from word problems. And so that's what we want to look at. And the good part to this is that there's something that gives away in this word problem, that this is a proportion. And so that is varies directly. Anytime you see varies directly, and we'll look at one other set of things that also tell us, but anytime you see varies directly, you know that we are going to be doing a proportion. A proportion, in case you've forgotten, is when we have two fractions that are equal to each other, and the way that you solve it is the butterfly method. And I know lots of y'all are really good at the butterfly method. And so there's a couple of things that we've got to make sure that we get right on this. Okay, so there's kind of an important rule that we need to make sure that you understand. So whenever you are looking at the numbers, there's usually going to be three numbers, and then there's going to be one number missing. That's going to be our x. That we're going to look for two numbers that are in the same sentence, or if it's split by a comma right here, the two numbers that are on one side of that comma. So I don't care if it's in front of the comma or if it's after the comma, but if there are two numbers that are together, they're going to go in the same fraction. Okay, and so right here I have 40 gallons and 104 square feet. Okay, so those are going to go in the same fraction. I don't care how you put them. Okay, so I don't care if you put 40 gallons on top. I'm going to go ahead and put a gal right here. And 104 square feet on bottom. I don't care if you reverse it. It's not going to matter as long as square feet. So we got gallons on top and square feet on bottom. So the only thing that does matter is that when we come over here, gallons has to stay on top, square feet has to go on the bottom. So when we go to the second part of this sentence, I see 195 square feet. And so square feet's on the bottom, so 195. And what I want you to see here is I didn't really read this problem. I'm not big on reading, and it's probably bad for a teacher to say that, but I'm terrible at reading. And so I have these little tricks that help me. So when I see varies directly, then I know that I'm going to put the two things in the same sentence, or at least in front of the comma, in the same fraction. And then, of course, the other number that's left has to line up with the same word. And then the one that's missing gets the x. And then all we got to do is our butterfly method. So with our butterfly method, we draw our very pretty butterfly. Oh, it's pretty. And the rule is you always take the two numbers first, and you're going to multiply them together. All right, so we're going to get out our calculator, and we're going to go 40 times 195. Hit enter. 7,800. And then when we multiply this with the x, then we just squish those two together, so 104x. And so now we're solving an equation. And so here's my x right here, and there's invisible math going on, so that's multiplication. So we're going to divide by 104, divide both sides by 104, except for it's 104, not 140. So 104. And let's pull out our handy dandy calculator. And we got 7,800 divided by 104. And we get 75. And so the answer to this is 75 is equal to x. And x was across from gallons, so this would be 75 gallons. Okay. So we're going to take a look at another one. Okay, so on this one, you can tell it's proportionate because it says directly proportional. So it's got to be a proportion. So varies directly is the one we tend to see the most, but every once in a while you'll see directly proportional. So we want to prepare you for it. Now notice this one doesn't have words, but it does have A and B. And so once again, what was our rule? That the two numbers that were in the same sentence, or if there's a comma, that the two that were before the comma or two that were after the comma. In this case, there's two before the comma. So those two go in the same fraction. So we got A is 13 and B is 4. And then in our other fraction, so this was A right here on top and B was on the bottom. So where is this going to go? On the bottom. That's where the B's are. And then the missing, we can put X, we can put A. I'm going to put A just to switch it up. And then we're doing our butterfly method. So here's our pretty little butterfly. So 13 times 10 we'll do first is 130 is equal to, we'll squish those two together and get 4A. So here's my variable. We've got invisible math, that's multiplication. So we're going to divide by 4 to both sides. And then 130, I can get my handy dandy calculator. So 130 divided by 4 is equal to 32.5. And that was A. And so you could see these either way, but in the end, the rules kind of stay the same. So it varies directly or directly proportional. We always want to take the two numbers that are in the same sentence or before or after the comma together and put them in the same fraction. And then I think you'll be fine. Do that butterfly method. I hope this helps.